Hello, good morning, Empowered Tribe. How are you doing today? Welcome back. I am glad to be here with you today, and thank you for visiting me and being here today too as well. Today it's kind of like a fall day. It's I live in Minnesota, if you do not know, and it's been a relatively warm fall so far, but I heard that it's going to go downhill from today with all the rain, which is fine because it's been very dry and we could use some rain. And today, again, we are going back to the Book of Awakening. If you're interested in this book, it is available for sale on my the Amazon store that I have. I try to kind of post stuff that I am recommending on there, so that way you don't have to search all over the place for it. There's just one place that you need to go. Without further ado, let's go into today's reflection. Today's reflection is titled Wisdom of the Torn Heart. A flag goes boneless as it assumes the shape of the wind that snaps it, and so I love. The lesson of the flag challenges our trust in the fabric of our lives. It asks us not to resist the wind of spirit that comes along. For the vital energies of life come upon us in sudden gusts of experience, and we can only unfold our true selves if we let go of our resistance and realize that our purpose, after all our suffering, is as simple and beautiful as that of a flag. The great poet Rilke says, "I want to unfold, I don't want to stay folded anywhere, because where I am folded, there I am alive." Once again, we are invited to live in the open. We are encouraged and challenged to unfold past our fears so that the appearance of life larger and older than us might flap us into full living. For sure, this is not easy, as all our bad experience and protective upbringing has us ready to resist anything sudden or powerful. Yet even when we trip and fall, we learn soon enough that it is the arm that stiffens and resists that breaks. Often our resistance only makes things worse. As the Chinese sage Lao Tzu says 2,500 years ago, the hard and stiff will be broken, the soft and supple will prevail. Whoever is stiff and inflexible is a disciple of death. Whoever is soft and yielding is a disciple of life. So to stay among the living, we are often asked to summon a courage not to resist. This is different than turning the other cheek or submitting to dominant forces in our lives. Rather, this is meeting the world in all its painful variety with feet spread and arms open, neither accepting everything nor rejecting everything, but leaning into what is nourishing and letting the rest move on through. In this way, the heart becomes a torn flag that knows no country, and over time, it is the little tears of living in the open that we must give thanks to. For it is the slight rips we suffer that lets through the blast too painful to carry. Perhaps this is wisdom, the earned humility of our suffering that doesn't try to hold on to everything. Perhaps this is the wisdom of the torn heart that lets us keep going. So, I feel like this last few passages were very similar to what we shared before around like control. For this one is really talking about a broken heart, torn heart. We all suffer from trauma, also have some suffering. I mean, I don't believe that everybody has trauma or really bad suffering. Not everyone does, but we all do suffer at some point in our life. And a lot of suffering is because we are trying to control the situation, we're trying to resist, and I firmly believe that suffering is a part of life, and suffering makes us grow. Suffering helps us understand who we are and what we're capable of. And so that's why it doesn't matter. Suffering knows no boundaries, right? There are people who are wealthy who are suffering. People who are not wealthy are suffering. We all suffer. It's just like death is promised. I think what is most important is how you approach your suffering is the key. Essentially, it's the mindset. And I think sharing my story, I came from a narcissistic family. I mean, I'm sure I've shared that with you already. And in my little box when I was a kid was a picture that I see. And so the suffering that I experienced was a product of what was happening at that time. But unfortunately, you know, as much as we don't want to let the past dictate who we are a product of our past. You know, so growing up in that narcissistic, dysfunctional family has created a lens in which I see the world. And I'm sure you too, you know, depending on the extent of what is going on around you. And so I think when I was younger, I often asked myself, why am I in this family? Why am I in this situation? And you know, as a child, you can't quite get out of it. I mean, you are stuck in the house, right? Because you can't go anywhere. And so it's kind of like I'm trapped trying to understand what is happening in my life without really understanding what's happening in my life. But the suffering is real, it hurts. And when I became an adult, it has created the way I looked at the world. You know, I'm very untrusting. I am very cautious. I do not let my guard down easily. I don't let people into my world because there is a lot of distrust that had happened in my life. And one way that I had to grow is to really dive into as an observer of my life and really look at why I am the way I am. And I think our greatest fear, my greatest fear anyway, I can't judge for you, but my greatest fear is really discovering who I really am. You know, a lot of us are just looking for outside factors to kind of fill in those void in our life. But I think for me, it's like, what have I become as a result of all the suffering, the broken hearts that I've experienced in my life? And I went on a search and you know, to find out who I truly am, because I realized as I went into the real world that there are all types of people from all walks of life and with all different perceptions of life. And I learned to realize that life is not so much black and white, where all my life I've grown into a black and white mentality. You know, it's either right or wrong, black or white, yes or no, you know. And but I realized that life doesn't really work that way. But in my little box where I grew up in, that's my mindset and the way I see the world. And so a lot of my suffering is caused by my mindset about the world should be black and white, yes and no. And there is no such thing. And in fact, a lot of things in our life is never a definite, because it really depends on the decision you make. And there's never a right or wrong decision. It's what the best decision is at that time. And so I had to dive into who I really am. And it scares me, you know, because like, oh my, what am I going to find? It is a lot of hard work, and it is a lot of letting go of my false belief around how the world works. And it's a lot of self-acceptance, accepting how I deal with the things that are happening in my world. I think a lot of suffering is caused by resistance, by us wanting things to be a certain way. And And I'm not saying that I'm free of that. You know, like I said, I'm a control freak, and being from a control freak, from a black and white person, to being open to the possibility that maybe there's some gray, maybe there is not a right or wrong, maybe there is just a matter of choice, maybe there is it is okay to let go of control, maybe it's okay to let things unfold, maybe it's okay to see how things play out. And it's very scary to do that, but I think that we are not going to ever be free from things that come up in our life that is beyond our control. But one thing that is within our control is in the way of how we looked at the world and the lens in which we see the world. And I know change is hard, and I know that it's hard to be humble, to receive feedback about how people's perception of us is. And me too, you know, I somehow for the longest time couldn't see what other people are seeing. They see me as being so pessimistic, just blaming everybody. And I do, and now that I've looking back, like, yeah, I do blame everybody for my problems at that time. But no one is going to live your life for you. You are who you are, and you are ultimately the owner of your own life and the dictator of who you or how you are going to turn out in this world. And it's never too late. Every day you open your eyes, it's a brand new day, and it's never too late to take a look at yourself and really self-reflect to see maybe you're looking at the world a little bit too black and white, and hence the suffering, and hence maybe things doesn't have to be that way. I'm not saying that as soon as you don't look at things black and white that you're free from suffering. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is maybe it opens your mind and perspective to a different way of looking at things. And so maybe it makes you not take things so hard. Maybe it gives you the liberty to make different choices because you look at the world a different way. Maybe because you look at the pain a different way, because your perspective is different. It is hard when you're in the midst of suffering to not resist because it's painful. And I think the main thing is fear, right? We are all fear of the unknown, not knowing what's going to happen, the repercussions, the effects on us, the effects on people, the effects on whatever it is. But life has a way of teaching us lessons that we are meant to learn. And it is going to come on one way or the other. And so my approach to life, and I'm not saying that this has to be yours, but I'm just sharing my perspective, is that is to be open to what life has to give us. And life don't always give us bad things. It gives us amazing things too. And same thing with your perception of amazing things that come. What is your approach to it? You know, are you going to be cocky about it, or are you going to be grateful for it, not take it for granted, and to embrace what life has given you? And during bad times when life is testing you, to recall all the amazing things that life has also given to you, and to be open to the experiences that is coming to you, and to think about how maybe you can look at it in a different way. Because I think that when you look at things a different way, you might not feel as stuck as you perceive yourself to be. I don't know if this serves you, but this is just my perspective. Just understand that it's a daily reflection from my perspective. And I encourage you to get a book of your own, to also dive into about details of your life that maybe you could gain perspective from, those passages that maybe help you think about life a little bit differently. We all suffer. You're not alone. We all go through pain. but you don't have to go through it alone thinking that you are so different from the world. We all suffer the same. I hope this serves you, ladies. You take care, and I hope to see you soon in my next daily reflections. You have a good day.